think that this is something that not a lot of people are discussing in our space. And that is why people don't really need personal trainers as much as they might think that they do.
Womp, womp, womp.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wait, aren't you guys personal trainers? Why do people not need you?
Right. Why would we say that? Well, we have actually a lot of really good reasons. I think this is a discussion of all of the nuances between, because now, I mean, compared to 10, 20 years ago, there's a lot more offerings than back in the day. There was just kind of like personal training for a while. You either went to the gym and worked out on your own, or you hired a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Then like Group X became a thing, and now there's online programs, which are like relatively pretty fucking new. I mean, yeah, people follow other people's programs, but now it's like we have access to all kinds of options and programs. That's literally what we do, is write fitness programs. But
Right.
those weren't necessarily a popular thing however many eons ago.
Right.
And our evolution, which we've talked about, and we're personal trainers. We've trained lots of people. We've done one-on-one for years and years and years. And then we got into the Group X space as well. And now we've evolved into pretty much exclusively doing group programming.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about it. Let's talk about how this conversation came up.
Right.
And that is that you have been doing group programming. We've been doing Cody Wescott Golf Fitness for about a year now. We're coming up on a year pretty soon. And before that was the era of like the COVID Zoom one-on-one training and some in-person stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last several months, there have been quite a few people, I'd say on a weekly basis, that ask you for one-on-one training programs. Now, they're not necessarily asking you for personal training. Some people do. We still get that too. If they're local or they think that we're still in Austin or in Florida, they ask, are you guys still doing one-on-one training? Does Cody train people? Or and then again, I think a big majority is asking, does Cody do one-on-one programming? I need a special program.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes the answer is, because we're really both capped in how much we're working one-on-one with people. We have a lot of like grandfathered clients, or, people trying to go pro, or people that are just kind of at the next level that do really need that help. We don't have a lot of capacity to do one-on-one training. And so we were talking about it, and it's like, wait, how often are we getting this question? It's coming up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an important thing for us to talk about, because there are obviously a lot of people out there who think that they need a personal trainer. They need one-on-one. They need custom programming.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to tell you that you probably don't.
Right. Yeah, so I mean that is the common question, and it usually is they want a custom program.
Right.
And so I start with, my questions are like, okay, are you injured? Do you have some special circumstance? Are you trying to go pro? And the reason I ask that is because like your schedule's crazy different.
Right.
Like lift heavy, swing fast can be done by anyone, even those that are trying to like make it to the next level, go pro and things like that. And a lot of them do. But if someone's traveling a ton, that's when it's like, okay, maybe you do need something a little more customized. If you're injured, there's a lot of things you're going to work around. Like, yeah, we could probably consider doing a custom program. Now with that, like, it's time consuming on both our parts. Like, it's a much bigger commitment on both ends, and that's time and that's financial, right? Like, and I think that's when people, they want something custom, but it's like, hey, this is much more detailed. I mean, we're talking lift heavy swing fast is $38 a month. We're talking custom programming is like $1,000 a month.
That's right.
It's much, much more involved. So like, if you really want that, it's available, but only on a very limited basis, and I truly don't think people need it.
Yes.
So that is a big part of it. Is there are so many programs, and I'm just gonna keep it in house, like, of things that I write. Like, I write a beginner program, I write a more advanced program, I write a mobility program. Like, so pretty much everything that you could possibly need personalized to you, like, you're gonna fit in one of those buckets. Mm-hmm. And then the very few people are gonna need extra help. Now, I do think that people want personal trainers for a much bigger reason, because once you hire someone to be like not at your beck and call, but like very available to you and to give you like that one-on-one assistance, your commitment financially is higher and time is higher, but at the same time, like you're also going to leverage a lot of that onto the personal trainer, because now they have to like really help you in the gym. You are using them to make sure you're accountable and show up and do your work. And you're kind of just basically just like hiring that person to make your job a little bit easier. And I mean, a lot easier.
You're talking about in-person
In
training.
person.
Yeah.
In-person training, like now you're bringing that person on. And the same thing with custom programming. Like you're just, each layer is you just putting more on the coach versus on yourself.
Sure.
You still have to put in the work no matter what you're doing.
Yes.
And it's hard work. And so I think that's where people are thinking in their minds, like, okay, if I buy this program, there's not as much assistance, so I'm going to have to work harder. But if you have the means and you want to spend a lot more money, and I do mean like substantially more money, like it's going to take more resources, then yeah, it seems like it's going to be easier for you, because now that person's going to do more of even more so of the legwork for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, let's break it up into custom programming versus one-on-one training. So personal training. So personal training, as it traditionally means, is like you're going into the gym and you're meeting your coach, or they're coming to you. Mm-hmm. And you're meeting in person for an hour-long session or however long.
Right.
And so, yeah, there is that service of someone kind of keeping you accountable in real life. You made an appointment with them to meet up in real life. So you kind of have that little extra accountability layer. And then also in person, you get someone who's probably helping you put the weights on your bar and helping you re-rack things. And sometimes in a public gym space, if you're not as comfortable, it's nice to have someone sort of escorting you around and getting other people out of the way, type of a thing, which we can both agree that's a nice thing to be able to do for someone who doesn't want to have to do that, or, you know. So that's where in-person versus custom programming are really, there are, of course, those are really different.
Right.
Personal training for people who work all day or are at home all day, and it's a good opportunity for them to get just FaceTime with someone else. We've both been in the situation where we're kind of like that person's therapist a little bit, like someone to just
100%.
talk to in real life and blow off steam, right? So that personal trainer, again, like there's tons of value in that. And this isn't a conversation about like you shouldn't hire a personal trainer, which maybe people thought that's what we were going to talk about. There's tons of value in that. But even for those people, I would say, so once you get to with a personal trainer, I don't expect too many people to be working with a personal trainer one-on-one for a really, really long time. If you're a good trainer, maybe you are keeping your clients for a few years. Like people definitely value for all of those reasons. But there comes a point where you've learned what you've learned. You know your way around a gym. You know how to work out. Like after several years of training, or a year, you'll learn how to do the things. So at that point, you are just paying for someone's time, because that's just really what you want. You want that person in your space or to keep you accountable. Like you're really not paying for different results, better results, any of that stuff, even to the point of you can cancel on a personal trainer, which also happens, and they don't always show up 100% of the time just because they've made that appointment. Nobody's physically driving their client to the gym, even though many times we wish that we could, because of how often people are like, can't make it in today, like whatever. So there's that value of it where it's just like the personal connection. But for a custom program, to your point, you know, you are still kind of paying for the coach's time in a way. Maybe it's not the one-on-one interaction in real life, but they're not necessarily thinking that they're going to get, I don't know, are they thinking that they're going to get a different program? Probably not so much as I want to be able to ask you questions when I want, or have you kind of, have office hours with you, or be able to kind of pick your brain a little bit more and get that kind of custom experience.
Right.
And really, like for us, that is the differentiator. We've worked with people, we've done programs that maybe help around a certain contraindication or injury, or if someone has a really specific goal for their game. But like at the end of the day, the programming is the programming for the majority of people. And I think it's just important for people to understand that if you're looking for a coach or a personal program or a personal custom program, it's not about getting a different program that's going to be vastly beyond or above and beyond or get you different results than what a group program can give you.
Right.
Did I say that in a weird way?
No. I mean, I think like is when I do custom programming, what I tell people when we get started is like, I am going to be more of like your coach, where what we're really trying to do with Lift Heavy Swing Fast is give people that experience of like, hey, I am your coach. That's why we have a Facebook group. That's why I have the chat box on there, because we're trying to get as close as we can to that as possible on a larger scale. It's like one to many versus one to one-on-one. Like basically, I want to be one person's coach at a time, but I want everyone to feel that same experience. Like if you have a question, it's not private, it's not in a direct message, it's in this group, and we're all going to share it and we're all going to learn from it. Whereas like, when I'm working with someone one-on-one, it's very specific. Like, it is like a private conversation. Like I am much more of your coach.
Yeah.
So that's our goal with Lift Heavy Swing Fast and like you said, like, are the workouts drastically different? No, because like the same person, like if you work with me and if you do one of we call it our elite player programming, that is our one-on-one programming that we offer. Are the workouts just mind-bogglingly different? Like, no, because like, you're the same person still writing them. I still have my style. I still have the things I believe in. I still have the boxes I check when I write a one-on-one program versus when I write a one-to-many program.
Right.
So yeah, you're still going to see a lot of the same stuff. My elite players, like we do something a little bit different. Things are tweaked because they have like a lot of practice they do every single day. Like, so sometimes I have them doing 2-a-days where the first workout in the morning is like very short and abbreviated. Like it's very short, explosive, powerful, because they're going to go play or they're going to go practice. And then later on I have them do like accessory work, which is basically what Lift Heavy Swing Fast is. It's just not broken up like that. It's not like, because that's a lot more time commitment to like, not necessarily the working out itself, but it's like, their whole day revolves around golf and like getting their bodies right and being ready to play. Like that's it. That's their job 24/7. So yeah, there is that slightly different experience, but again, we're trying to give that to everyone. So yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, why do you think, and you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but why do you think that the average person reaches out to you for custom programming versus looking at Lift Heavy Swing Fast and being like, yeah, this would work for me?
Right. So when people do that, I usually send them our free download of a workout.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, like I'm totally open to like, here's my application if you want to do one-on-one training. I'm totally open to doing that for you. But try this first. Like if you haven't tried my Lift Heavy Swing Fast workout, give it a shot. I'm here. If you think you still need some more attention, like if that didn't hit the boxes that you're trying to check mentally that made you ask me for that custom programming, come back and let me know. And no one so far has. They've all signed up for Lift Heavy Swing Fast. They haven't came back and said, oh, that doesn't do it for me. I need more.
Right.
Like, no, that has not happened yet.
Yeah.
So I do think that, we're all special. We all feel like we're special people. I want something special. But maybe you don't need something special. What's special for you is like the same thing that everyone else needs too. So it's already out there. It's already available to you. So I think that's just maybe I should talk more about it, because that's probably what people think is like, hey, I'm this, like I'm older. I'm 40. That's what they'll say. Like, like I'm getting older, and they're usually like in their late 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
I'm getting older, so I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if lift heavy scares people away. So maybe they're wanting something from me that's not this lift heavy. Yeah, lift medium, right? And I want to swing like moderately fast. I don't know. So maybe that's a blocking for them in our and they just think they need something different. A lot of the people that say that are like, I'm a former D1 athlete or something like that. So like, I'm very athletic, so what do I need? And then they're like, I want to make sure. And some people think it's not hard, that it's not going to be hard enough, right? So that they think they're better. And then I'm like, hey, like, I mean, I'll be straight up with those people too. I'll say, what do you think of me? I'll be like, genuinely, do you think you are more advanced in the gym than I am? And they'll say, absolutely not. And I'll say, okay, these are my workouts too. These are what I do. And they're just as hard for me as they are for everyone else, because of how intense you take it.
Yeah.
Like, like everyone today in Lift Heavy Swing Fast did hack squats or back squats or split squats. Those are all the options. I give people tons of options depending on the equipment they have. And someone less advanced than me could get the same stimulus as the workout that I did.
Absolutely, yes.
Because of how hard you're going to hit each exercise, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think and then there are people that do say, hey, I'm trying to make it on to the next level. I really need some custom help and I have to travel. And sometimes and this is why this, again, I don't want to talk about cost, but it's a substantial difference because when one of my elite players reaches out and says, hey, I got a tournament coming up this weekend. I'm only going to have my bands and a 40-pound dumbbell available. Can you write me a workout for that? Sure. And that's what we do. That's a higher level of service.
Right.
The majority of people don't need that.
No, they don't.
The vast majority of people don't need that.
Totally.
And these players don't even know, they could make it to the weekend. They could play 3 days. They could play 2 days. So hey, but I didn't make it. I'm coming back home on Friday. I have all my stuff ready. So what should I do then? It's a much, much more involved thing. If that's not you, then you probably don't need to spend a bunch of money hiring, someone to write you a custom program.
No.
Or, and then, personal training, kind of shift gears here. I loved personal training. I did it for a long time. It was great. I built a lot of good relationships. You help people on a totally different level than just getting them in shape. You're their therapist, like you said. You can really improve their quality of life in a few different ways. And I always wanted to be the educator. I always want to tell them why we were doing what we were doing, how to do it, and why. So that way, after months or years or however long they want to train with you, it should only be a few months and they could go on their own. And I tell people, this was my saying all the time, I want to educate you enough to where you can do this on your own, but this is my livelihood. So if you have the means and you enjoy working with me, by all means, keep paying me and keep coming back and seeing me.
Yes.
I'll be here for that too.
Yes.
But you should be able, if in a few months, if you don't think you could do this on your own, I didn't do a good enough job teaching you.
Totally.
And then you still have clients for years because you do develop that relationship. They have the means. They can keep paying you. It's part of their thing. So there's no problem with that either.
No.
But like I said, you should be learned enough from working with me for a few months to be able to do it on your own.
Yeah, you literally nailed it. That was so good. I think the special thing, people wanting to kind of think that they're special, and it's not a bad thing. I actually think this is just the human way too, is that we think that we're N of one. A lot of people just in general, think about when you felt a certain way and it's feels like it's the only time this has ever happened to a person. And it's we know that's not true. There's a bajillion people on the planet. It's
right.
It's the same thing in fitness, and even more so though, where it's a lot can be solved by someone squatting heavy, doing some lunges, getting stronger. It doesn't have to be so prescriptive.
Right.
There should be a weight off of people's shoulders falling away, hearing us say that, in that we hear this program and do this for 6 weeks and it has to be this prescriptive specific thing and incline 2.5% on the treadmill.
Right.
No, everybody, big deep breath. You can get really, really far doing, I'm going to just say, doing group generic programming.
Yeah.
If it's a good program, that's
right.
Everybody can get really good individual results.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can't remember what movie it was, but it's I think it was one of the gangster movies. He's I'm special, you're special, we're all a bunch of special motherfuckers. It's just yeah, cool.
Yes.
But, guess what? I wrote a special program. If your goal is to get strong, mobile, powerful, play your best, and live your best life, I wrote Lift Heavy, Swing Fast. I think a lot of people can have those same goals and feel very special about how you're doing it. But it's it is what it is. We don't need a bunch of special shit.
Yes. No, we really don't. And again, that should be a light should go off in your head and be wow, that's good to hear that I don't have to be combing through and program hopping. We've experienced that so much with folks, not our people program hopping, but just what we've seen over the years, where it's oh, I've been doing this workout, but now I'm going to go do this one, or I'm going to hop over to this studio and do this because this isn't working, It's actually no.
Yeah.
Pick this thing and stick to it and give yourself a year.
Right.
We've talked about that before. I like the year mark.
Yeah.
Have you been consistent? That doesn't mean every other month we're hopping on and off, or every other week or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, you're missing some things here and there, but over a year, have you consistently followed through with a program, a single coach, whatever that it is, for a year, and then been able to look back on that year and say, wow, I have come far in 12 months. 12 months ago, I was in a different place, physically, mentally, whatever.
Yeah.
That's really when you know. And so it's cool that we can access this stuff. To bring it full circle at the beginning of this conversation, it's like back in the day, we had personal training that you'd have to invest thousands of dollars a month in, or you were just kind of on your own at the gym. Now we have options like a $38 program like we offer where you do get coaching support, like literally you do. You also get community, which is something that you don't necessarily get with personal training. Like you get your person. I think people like that, but it's cool that there's other athletes all over the world that are like talking about doing the same workout that day and like posting their results from that day or whatever. Like that's a cool experience that you don't necessarily get in a one-on-one space. But you get all that. You get great programming. You get results for like $38. I mean, people spend that more on their like TV subscriptions monthly or whatever. Like it's like there's so much at your fingertips. Being able to put it into an app and track your results and all of that good stuff, like that's really cool.
Right. I mean, and then to I've had people that I trained even like years ago come over to Lift Heavy Swing Fast.
Yes.
I've had clients that very, very recently were just doing Zoom training, like not even like right before I started Lift Heavy Swing Fast, I was doing Zoom training with multiple of these people. They've now gone from a custom program over to Lift Heavy Swing Fast, just because we provide a ton of value in it. So yeah, unless someone has got some serious like different and special needs, then like a lot of my people are converting over to Lift Heavy Swing Fast from a custom program.
I love it.
I mean, they're saving a bunch of money. It's not the greatest business thing for me, but it's awesome for them because it's all they need.
Yeah.
And they know that.
Well, and we know that too, though, because that's why we want to do this for more people. We want to be able to touch more than 30 people a month. We used to only be able to get so many people. However, now
awesome.
We literally can kind of, the world is our oyster. We can max out at, 1 million people will be doing Lift Heavy Swing Fast pretty soon.
It's awesome. And, and I love it because like that's what I want. Like, I mean, I don't want to do custom programming forever unless it's like a special case because again, like, if you don't need anything special, like I really push you towards like just trying, my regular programming because that's all you're going to need if you just follow that along. And that's going to teach you like more discipline and stuff like that. But like, but not to say like, because I don't want to say like you don't need like special custom programming if you truly need it. Like there are like, my girl I train in India, she's got all sorts of like crazy injuries going on. She can't do certain things. So she needs it.
She does.
No,
there's a time and a place for custom programming. We're not saying that.
And if you're and if you're training for like something special, like if you were really trying to make it to that next level in golf, you don't want to kind of play around on all these programs and figure out like, oh crap, I can't do that. What do I need to do? What's the best option for me? Because like, then you can do a custom program where it's like, okay, I will give you the best option because in Lift Heavy Swing Fast, we do give swap options. But it's usually based on equipment. I don't really put in there like, hey, if you're injured, like here's, because I don't really dive into that too much. Like if I don't know you very well, just because it's impossible to like give something a great recommendation if you don't like know the ins and outs of their issues, and it's be irresponsible as well. But so, I mean, we've wrote tons of good programs. I mean, we got some from beginners. Lift Heavy Swing Fast is like my intermediate to advanced. Like, you got everything you need like in these types of programs, and it'll save you a bunch of money.
Totally. So, hopefully hopefully everyone got some takeaways from this that has maybe been on the fence about where to go with their training, because I know it can be overwhelming that just in general in fitness it's hard to choose like which direction to go in, and this also isn't saying that all programs are created equal. I want to make that like crystal clear. Same thing, personal trainers are not all created equal either. So there's still like nuance within certain programs and certain coaches and all of the things. But for anyone that's been on the fence or feels like, oh, I can't afford a good training program or a good trainer, there are options out there, and you can have really good success in your fitness journey, achieving your goals without spending a ton of money or needing to search for the perfect coach that you're going to vibe with because you're going to be spending all this time and all this money on them and all of this stuff. You brought up the discipline thing, and I wanted to touch on that too. So I'm glad that you said it, where it's like, it's also really cool to get yourself into a routine that you can follow a program on your own. There's so much value. I try to teach my nutrition clients this too in like, I call it fitness autonomy. I don't really know a better word for it or if there's but Having flexibility in your training is really freeing. And I think this comes from a place of me having a really rigid training schedule for a long time. So my like go to now is to almost flop the other way where I'm like, I'll just do whatever today, which like I am way better at. You know this. But I used to be like, because when I was doing endurance or triathlon, you can't miss like days because it's just so overwhelmingly intense. Like it's ridiculous. And I train and work with a lot of people, or and you attract those clients too. And it's helpful to get them into a place where it's like, you can own your own schedule. You can begin to train when you want. You don't have to set appointments with other people that you have to stress about missing or stress about missing a class or paying for a $30 class that you get docked for, or like it is cool to be able to like you've got a program, you got the recipe that you need to follow, but you can kind of like choose when you train and like follow your own schedule, and it really gives you the best of both worlds, I think.
100%.
And once you get into that rhythm and you're like, oh, I actually really enjoy this. Or people that maybe didn't love going to the gym because they felt like they couldn't have a plan or they didn't know what to do. They like kind of know, like, because they're fitness oriented people, but they don't really know how to follow like week after week. It's like that empowers those people to like have a good structured plan. They're confident in the gym because they know what they need to go do. They know what machines that they need to go use. And they're like, cool, I can do that all on my own. That's badass.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the commitment too, like, you know, I've been going to gyms for a very long time, like 20 years, and I've seen a lot of bad personal trainers too. And if like say that there's one gym in your town, you go join that gym, you sign up with the wrong trainer. You know how hard it is to break up with that trainer and get another one?
Yeah.
It's very awkward, it's uncomfortable. You might even have to like find a new gym. And if that's the only one in your town, it's a rough time for you. It's very uncomfortable. So if you're just following a program, and you need to give the program a chance, I'd say like any program you're following, you need to give it at least like 6 weeks. And if you don't love it, if it's not getting you the results you want, and you did what you were supposed to do in it, you can switch, and no one's going to know the wiser. But if you go to a personal trainer, because I've seen this happen,
Totally.
it's, you know, at the gyms I worked at, where it's like, oh, you know, this trainer's not doing what I want, but there's a trainer over there that I actually rather work with, but now like, how do I do that? Because that's really awkward. Whereas like, you know, if you just pick a program, it doesn't work after 6 weeks, you really don't like it, it's not getting results, you can just switch to another one, and it's no big deal. So it's just it's just so freeing to be able to have these options out there, you know, because like when I was in the gyms, like, you know, I was ripping out Muscle and Fitness magazines when I was 16 years old, and going doing Jay Cutler's 6 weeks to 2 inches bigger on your arms kind of thing. And now you can pick anything you want. And if you're listening to this, like, you know, you're trying to be better at golf probably, and we have a program made especially for that.
Right.
You know, so it's cool. It's a really cool thing that's gone on, and it just makes everyone's lives a little bit easier.
I know. I think it's really cool the direction that like programming and fitness is going in for the people that are maybe looking to change things up and get better and improve the current status of their current regime, whether it's their current trainer or their group X class that sucks and isn't getting them results. But
yeah, I mean, and just the value is so tremendously higher, like, you know, for how little a program costs that's not custom to the value you get out of it is just tremendous.
Yeah.
Like,
we have a nutrition component. Obviously, like I provide feedback for people that have those types of questions, which if your coach or trainer isn't giving you good advice, and you might not know what's good or not good, but if they're not saying things that don't, if your radar's going off when they're answering your questions about nutrition, you're like, that doesn't sound right, or 1,200 calories a day doesn't sound very good to me. Like, we are providing that angle too. We have an ebook. We provide that extra support, which is like something I don't think anybody else is really doing. No. Honestly, not in the group space.
No. I mean, you know, we use Train Heroic. I've downloaded some of the most popular programs on there, and I'm so disappointed because I thought they were gonna be cool. I was like, you know, I wanted to learn something, and you know, it's like some of these people out there, they're doing like these athletic training programs, and like, you know, I'd love to see like, and they're training like good sports teams, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see what like this really badass like soccer team does like in their workouts. Like that could help golfers too. Like let me kind of see what that's like, and I pull up their workouts. I'm like, this is actual dog shit. And I'm not going to say who it is, and I don't really like talking bad about people, but again, like you can try these stuff out. We have free workouts you can download. They have a free workout you can download. Like there's a lot of stuff out there. You can see which one works for you, so you don't have to make that commitment. But again, like it's such a smaller commitment than it is to custom programming or one-on-one training in person.
Yeah,
So like the people out there, you have so many options. There's really no excuse to not get the results you want at this point.
absolutely not.
So
And it's not a custom program or a more personal training or putting more money necessarily down. It's about finding the right program actually for you and sticking to it.
mm-hmm.
Being honest with yourself and sticking to it.
Yep.
So,
Are we gonna do the?
what are you obsessed with this week?
Ooh, you go
Ooh.
first.
Oh, I wasn't ready.
Well, think about it. You'll figure it out really quick.
Gosh,
Is it gonna be
okay.
the Dallas Cowboys?
No, I'm not. I mean, no,
Coco Gauff.
dude.
She was pretty good.
Coco is good. Tennis is so fun to watch when it's good tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Tennis is fun to watch, actually. Tennis is fun to watch.
Tennis is great.
We watched a client of mine who, like, last year in Florida, just watching, playing some tennis. Tennis is fun. Coco is badass. I have to say, I will say specifically what I liked about her. What I'm obsessed with is her crop top. I loved her outfit.
Oh,
I like
Lord.
to see athletes that are out there, like, rocking their bodies a little bit, like, show it off.
We want Djokovic out there with his shirt off or something?
Nope, don't care about that. It's just because guys take their shirts off all the time and no one says anything about it. But it's like sometimes women, I feel like, are like covering up, or sometimes tennis and golf too, like the outfits that they wear. I know it's not about their outfits, but it's nice to see a girl showing off her crop top bod on the grand stage that is Arthur Ashe. I mean, fuck, that was badass. So good for her. I might go buy a New Balance tank top this week.
I got some New
Because of
Balance golf
Coco.
shoes. They're pretty sweet.
Yeah, you did. See? Great brand recognition or whatever. But yeah, Coco is her athleticism is literally beyond. I mean, it's tennis players are super super athletic athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But like man, she didn't even look like she was working that hard. Obviously, she of course was working her heart out, but like fuck. She just crushed the court. It was cool to watch her run around and kind of not really drip too much sweat. She was badass.
She was fast.
Man, she's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So big things coming from her. Yeah. What are you obsessed with this week?
Oh, you went with that one?
Yeah, I think that's a
That
good
was
one.
good. Oh man, can I be obsessed with my golf game and how mind numbingly painful it is sometimes. So, I think we talked about here. Oh, because it comes down to my fitness. So we'll bring it back all in full circle. But for a couple months ago, I was getting very intrigued by the thought of bodybuilding for golf. Right, we even had Dr. Jeff on here to talk about bodybuilding, and just I wanted to do some bodybuilding stuff just because it was popular, and I wanted to see if it would work for golfers. So, little update for you guys. You
gave it your 6 to 8 weeks.
I did. I gave it 6 weeks. My physique did change. I did get bigger. My muscle hypertrophy, I went and got a body scan. I was down to like 7% body fat. Like I was pretty happy with the way I looked. Like, it's fun to kind of look big and jacked. Because I definitely changed. However, my golf game also changed, and it was not good. I was shooting really well. Like a bad day for me, the last few months was, or for about about 2 months straight, was high 70s was like kind of a bad day. Like hitting 80 was a really bad day. And I was getting down like shooting some 73, some 74, some stuff like that. Like I stood on 16 at my home course, 2 under par, shit the bed on the last few holes, like really bad. But, and then I had a streak where I was really hitting it hard, doing like my hard chest days. Like I was sore, fatigued, doing hard leg days. I mean, I was, pushing the weights to failure and things like that, like in a pretty good amount of volume, a lot of tension on your muscles. Like, so just overall, like my body was off. Now, maybe if I would stick with it for like a very long time, I would kind of learn and get the timing right again. But in the term I did it for 6 weeks, my game went really bad. I mean, I even shot I almost broke 90 on the bad side. I shot an 89, and that was 10 shots worse than what I was shooting prior. So like it didn't work for me. I may try it again. Like in the winter when I'm not playing as much, just to see if how it goes. But because if people are just die hard about it, I would like to create something for the hardcore bodybuilder that also wants to play a little bit of golf. But if you're the hardcore golfer that wants to be a bodybuilder, I don't think it's in the cards for you. It just did not work well for me. And I'm probably, there's probably some bodybuilders out there like, oh, damn it. No, you just don't know. You did it wrong. I mean, maybe I'm going to try it again. But I mean, I took a lot of concepts, listened to a lot of bodybuilder podcasts about how they create reps or how they program their reps and sets, the machines they use, the mechanical tension on the muscles, like all this like nerdy shit. I wrote it all down. I programmed it. I did it. Didn't work for me. But I'm happy to say, like, so I started, what are we at? Like, I think it's like the 4th week of Lift Heavy Swings Fast's new cycle. So
The 4th week's coming up, I think.
Okay, so I've been back on my normal Lift Heavy Swing Fast workouts for like 3 weeks. And Saturday I shot a 77.
Yeah.
So brought it back. This may or may not, I don't know. It just seems, it's a coincidence. It'd be quite the coincidence that doing all this bodybuilding stuff made my scores get worse, and then I get back to my regular scheduled programming on my Lift Heavy Swing Fast, and I get back down into, and that was 77 with bogeying the last 3 holes. So, again, I was like standing on.
There's always a qualifier, but you shot a 77.
16, 17, 18 just kicked my ass at my course. Yeah, 77.
Doesn't matter which holes were which.
But it was the last 3. They just are just they get me every time.
Okay.
But
that's like saying, oh, I ran a 3-hour marathon, except for the last 2 miles. I like literally my legs gave out, so I actually had to walk them. But it would have been a 3-hour marathon. It's like
they're just hard holes.
Okay, well they're not. They're literally not.
Okay.
I'm so 16. Good at them.
16 is the hardest hole on the entire course.
Anyway, I think that's a cool experiment. I'm glad that you did that because we were really, the bodybuilding thing, we were going for it. But
I will say I do like the workouts.
Right.
They are fun because it's a different challenge. Like, you're kind of just grinding away on your muscles, like, just like getting all this tension and like, pushing, like you feel this pump and it's cool. Versus like being like exhausted in like these different ways. Cause in Lift Heavy Swing Fast, you're moving all these different ranges of motion and different movements that are actually, the movements themselves are challenging. Cause like the movements in bodybuilding are not necessarily challenging. It's how you're pushing your muscle is challenging. So it's just, it's fun.